RFE or file an application before the deadline. This is why we offer a strategy session for 15 minutes at no cost to you. Not everyone qualifies. First, you need to speak with our cares team. We receive many requests, so we recommend you answer a few questions on our website, greencardguys.com. Our mission is to help people live and work in America legally. Go ahead and subscribe below and follow and share. Talk to you soon. How are y'all doing today on Wednesday, October 4th? I want to share with you some red flags, things to know about when you sponsor an employee or a person who's not working for you yet. Welcome to greencardguys.tv. I'm your host, John Ting. I practice immigration law in all 50 states of America and across the world, helping you, your company, solve your immigration problem and maybe even prevent the problem from happening in the first place. Folks, okay, so today, hot tips, red flags to share with you. So hopefully you can avoid them, okay? Because, for example, real-time example right now is that the second round of H-1B, there was a second round of people who were selected by USCIS, all right, because, for example, some people, there's thousands of people who applied for it, registered for it in March, and then, you might wonder, well, why is there a second round? That happens typically when the people who were selected originally back in end of March, the company decided not to continue the process with them, or that beneficiary, that foreign national, decided to work for a different company or maybe go to a different country. Who knows? So anyway, there's a lower amount of allotment available for second round. So it's great. So for example, someone just signed up with us, a company just signed up with us a couple days ago to help file by the deadline. Now, the deadline for the second round is the end of October. Now, to share with some real-time tips is because the very first step, okay, there's a lot of steps going on at the same time, especially with the deadline. But the first step is making sure the job description, the job offer is exactly what it needs to be for at least immigration purposes. Because a lot of people, whether it's a bigger company, small business, which is still, even if a small business, still generating a lot of revenue anyway. Oh boy, just people are so open to things that, in a sense, that it kind of slows it down. A lot of people are very companies are flexible, which is great, but at the end of the day, we need y'all's assistance to make a decision. Okay, so as long as we provide as much guidance as we can, but it really boils down to the job description and the experience required. All right, now, so the second tip related to this is that, HR typically, excuse me, wants more experience. When I graduated law school, when I graduated undergrad, when I applied for jobs, it was like every single position said you need like 1, 2 year, 5 year experience. And obviously I didn't have that because I just graduated. So employers tend to put down certain information, requirements, or years of experience because that's what they prefer. But that's not how it works with U.S. immigration. We don't put down what you prefer. You put down what's the minimum requirement, okay? Anything you might prefer should be internal, not posted publicly, all right? So it's very important for you to know that distinction, because sometimes you get a little pushback from employers, HR, and they're like, well, I really want that in there. I'm like, okay, well, if you want that in there, and then that's your new minimum requirement. And if that's the case, that likely will increase the wage that the company's willing to pay. So to not waste anyone's time, whether it's the company, HR, recruiter, and especially the foreign national, because they have a timeline, they have a deadline as well, because they want to stay in America, or if they're abroad, they're trying to get in here as soon as possible, right? So we really consider both parties. Essentially, it's pretty much the same goal, right? So we need decision makers to be able to make this decision, because we've had some situations where like there's a lot of stakeholders involved, and that's fine, but someone's got to make a decision so to prevent the delay. And so unfortunately, look, there are some attorneys, some law firms that don't do it correctly, but there are other scenarios like sometimes in our situation, some of our clients, they wait till last second, even though we're like contacting them every single week. So we just want to give you all that idea, okay, on why we have certain deadlines that we can't just file anytime we want to. There are government deadlines that can affect a foreign national's ability to stay in America. Okay, there is a grace period if that person were in the US. All right, so and then more practically speaking, when I was earlier the show, I was talking about the more granular steps, that several steps going on at once. Another one is that we need your tax ID number document. The tax, basically, whenever IRS provided the EIN, the employer ID number. Okay, we need that document because if you have not sponsored a foreign national before, and we're submitting the first step for labor condition application, it takes time to verify, and that's usually 24 hours minimum. Again, we're considering any step that can take time. So we ask for that document first, along with a job description, which generally we have to give some guidance on the job description. So just want to share those ideas, what you need to provide to a lawyer, immigration attorney, um, at least with us, okay? And then the thing to know about, I was talking about wages earlier, specifically with immigration. It's called the prevailing wage determination. Okay. So with H-1B, you don't actually have to file that document, but if there is a government website that we refer to as a guideline, it has 4 levels of wages: 1, 2, 3, 4. The lowest level, number 1, is essentially someone who just graduated. Someone like level 4 is someone who has managerial experience, or at least a position requires some kind of managerial or supervisor experience. Okay, or I mean, in responsibility. So, with that all being said, if it's a level 4, the wage is going to increase. So again, not to waste y'all's time, but if an attorney doesn't explain this to y'all, and then it comes back at level 4, level 3, you're like, holy shoot. Um, um, you might not be expecting to pay much more, right? So that's part of what we do with Ting Law Group, is that we share this information in advance so you have a better idea. We can fairly quickly give you an idea based on the job description. But to be honest, I mean, most companies don't have the job description ready. So it's difficult for us to assess as quickly as possible what the level could be. But so with that regard, when I'm trying to share this on LinkedIn and all of the platforms here, is that before you speak with an immigration attorney, you want to have at least a job description ready. Consider what is the minimum qualifications, requirements, and what is your budget for this position. Okay, could be, and that's I don't know how many tips I've already shared, but let's just say the bonus tip here is that it's a little bad taste for both of y'all if the employer HR offers a salary and it might come back to bite you one way or the other, and you haven't spoken to an immigration lawyer. It could be fine if your budget's completely open, that's fine. But if your budget is a little bit more restrictive and you may have over offered, I guess you could say, like a higher salary, and maybe you could have offered a little lower, you might kick yourself in that regard. So that's an advice to the employer. But on the other side, if you offered, I don't know, let me just say like 20,000, but then based on the job description, that foreign nationals credentials experience, really it's like something that's like level 3 or something, then it could be more than you expected to pay in the perspective of the company. So that's why really it behooves the company, whoever is representing the company in this regard, HR, recruiter, or the entrepreneur, if you're a startup company, like truly startup, you really need to speak with immigration attorney first and ask those questions, because sorry for the angle on TikTok, some of the some employers, they just get down to the wire, went all the way through the interview process, multiple interviews, and then the foreign national is like, my clock is ticking. I don't have much time left. So you got to get on the ball with this and get going. Okay. Ask these questions, attorney, because some attorneys, they might be just too focused on like offering you a quote contract and not so much about legal advice. So that's what we focus on. There's a good segue to mention. We do offer a strategy session for 15 minutes at no cost to you. Okay, whether it's a company, employee, for national, or if it's for another case time. We offer a strategy session for 15 minutes, really because to help prevent those problems from happening, like missing a deadline, for example. And because you didn't know the requirements and what's all required to get done, the steps to get done. So, anyways, if y'all have any questions, you're welcome to. If you're especially on your LinkedIn, I'm going to drop off from LinkedIn now. But if you have any questions, welcome to drop it in the comment section, and I will get to y'all very soon. Okay. But in general, for if you want to access that strategy session at no cost to you, you can contact this number right above on LinkedIn and YouTube. You can see that right there, or go to our website, greencardguys.com, and click on contact us, and we'll be happy to point you in the right direction. All right, with that, I'm going to end it on LinkedIn. And there we go. Hopefully that works out. Let me save it. Okay, so now we're on YouTube and TikTok. And let me answer some questions. Real quick on YouTube, someone named Bulk Discount hyphen We Want Green Card. Good day. How much for 5 green cards? The way you phrase it makes it sound like I'm a smuggler. I am not a smuggler. If anyone from the government is listening or prosecutor, I am not a smuggler. But man, 5 green cards. We do offer reduced rate in very limited scenarios, so you're welcome to contact our team. But we're not able to share fees online, unfortunately. Otherwise, we get banned. Apparently, TikTok banned me for like 5 minutes. So I think that was the reason. All right, Surreal, what's going on? Good to see you, sir. You just want to ask how long for your green card. In general, so Surreal filed for K1 visa, and that's all I can share about that. But after filing, based on that, it's typically 12 months on average. I know some people have had the interview waived, but can't guarantee for everyone. You know, sometimes it depends on the field office. Fortunately, we've had pretty good success on getting the interview waived, but I mentioned the last couple of days that we had an interview for a married client, a couple out here in Houston, and we filed it back in June. So it was about 3 months from filing date to interview, 3 months. Of course, I had some concerns, you know, to make sure that the clients were prepped and had certain evidence ready, recent evidence. But yeah, bam, approved on the spot. Approved on a spot. It was amazing. It was a great day. We're very happy. Unfortunately, I just had to keep working. Can't stop working. But yeah, don't be scared if there's an interview. It's okay. At least with our team, we prepare you to the best of our ability. Okay, Mr. Good Looking, welcome back. How hard is it to get an H-1B visa? Depends on if you're qualified or not. Really, it's not some. Well, if you mean in terms of like you have a job. If you're whether you're inside or if you're inside the U.S., you need to have some kind of non-immigrant visa right now. But if you're outside the U.S., so that's a great thing actually. If you're outside the U.S. and you got a degree, well, I guess whether you're in or not, if you got a degree that's from a school that's from outside the United States, that's completely okay. All right, that is okay for that, for a foreign degree, essentially. So some people are concerned about that, but yeah, ultimately, it's they call it registration. It's only one time a year in early March, the first 2 weeks roughly. But the thing is, it's technically still a lottery. It doesn't matter if you got straight A's or not. You got 4.8 GPA, does not matter. You could be the best candidate, which I don't see how they would know through the registration. It doesn't matter. It's completely random, supposedly. So hopefully that helps. But you're welcome to contact us, get the free guide. Go to our website. There should be a free guide about that, or just give us a call. All right. Next question. Sorry, folks. My voice is killing me here. So I think I'm only going to be on for maybe 10 more minutes or so. Y'all missed it. If you're just joining now today, maybe for the first time, or you missed out yesterday, I went live for 90 minutes yesterday, I believe. So that's definitely not going to happen today. My voice is getting worse and worse. I don't know if it's because I'm still sleeping with the kids. I don't know what it is, but drop in the comment section. Do you have kids? Do you sleep with the kids? I know. Well, they're really young. Mine are really young. So, how long will it take to file a petition for siblings? Number one, it does not matter how long it is for petition for siblings because people tend to ask that. Not don't know about your situation daily, but people tend to ask that, and when they ask that, they tend to not file. When I'm about to tell you how long it usually takes, it's minimum usually, not the petition itself, but overall process for the actual green card is about 10 years across the board. Doesn't matter which country your siblings are national of. So I mention this every live show if I can. Just think of it as a birthday gift. You, as a US citizen, only need to sign it for the petition. Your sibling does not need to sign it because we have many clients that tell us, oh man, I wish I did this 10 plus years ago, but my sibling didn't want to do it. So just don't tell your sibling then, unless you need to get obviously some information. Um, but anyways, yeah, hopefully it helps. Just file the dang petition for your sibling. 131 is approved. Can you travel as much as you want? There's no limitation on the number of times you need to travel. You can travel out. Yes, on the 131 form. Now, keep in mind there is an expiration date, right, on the 131. But if it's usually for like a year or so, unless it's DACA, if it's DACA or TPS, they could restrict it, okay, or they have. But when it's usually based on AOS adjustment of status, so like let's say C9 category, then it's usually valid for a year. But there's no restriction on the application. We usually just put like we put the country of like Canada, Mexico, and whichever country you could be from or national of, or if, unless we can add more, like if you're actually going to want to travel to a specific country, we'll add that. But when it's a C9 category, it's pretty open in that sense, and there's no limitation on number of times. Okay, if there was a limitation, they would specify that. Let's see here. So Revs 10. I have a video. I need to record a new video about that. Can pending asylum apply to EB3? Yes, it is possible. It is complex. It is a complex legal situation. But we've had clients do it. But default, okay, because everyone calls and asks, can we adjust status in this scenario? Pending asylum to EB3. Answer is no. Some people say, yeah, well, I heard of someone else that did that. Well, maybe their scenario is different because every time we ask, well, can you have that person call us or can you ask more facts about it? And it's crickets. That person doesn't get back to us, right? So I think that's because when they really dig in and ask specific questions to their colleague or friend, it was a different situation. So the default people are so concerned about processing time, but really in this situation, it's about understanding the back end, the very last step, and that's consular processing for people applying for any EB through asylum. Okay, and yeah, it's very sticky. So you got to talk to a lawyer one-on-one about that. All right, definitely not able to go in depth in a live show like this, but thank you so much for the question. People need to know about it and understand the risk involved, for sure. Let's see here. Gigi, what's going on? Can VAWA application be sent online to USCIS? Not that I'm aware of. I don't think so. That would be amazing because typically with VAWA, service centers are hella slow to mail back, or not mail back, but mail to you a receipt notice. So as far as I know, I-360 cannot be filed online. I could be wrong, but we only file online for like I-130s only if it's not through adjustment or not ready for adjustment yet. And the like DACA applications and TPS and change of status. But I don't believe, I don't believe IS-360 can do that, but that would be wonderful. By the way, filing online is not perfect. You would think it is, but it's not. So if you get hung up on something, it's not a surprise. Okay, or at least don't be surprised about that. Excuse me. All right. Hey, what's going on? Bulk discount. So yeah, give us a call. Sorry to hear that about their mom passing away, but yeah, give us a call so we can see if there's a way to help that the scenario you're asking about. Okay, so to TikTok. By the way, folks, if you are now joining for the first time ever, you wouldn't know this. We do offer a strategy session for 15 minutes at no cost to you. We don't offer it to everyone, okay? Because there are situations where we can our team can email you a free guide. And sometimes, like, especially if it's expedite request, if like you only need some guidance on expedite request, we already have a guide about that. We're not gonna typically not gonna schedule you for consultation unless you want to pay for it. That's different. But our goal is to offer consultation for free just based on the number of inquiries. We just can't offer it to everyone. Okay. So please don't be offended. It's not that we don't want to help you. We're trying to. We have free guides for many situations, many scenarios, but not all of them. Monica, Joanna, if a petition for cert was denied by the Supreme Court, is there anything else that can be done? About that specific case from the past, no, as far as I know, because the Supreme Court is the last step, and I'm assuming you mean the U.S. Supreme Court. So I'm pretty amazed that your circuit court even accepted your case. Each level up, like BIA, they have to accept your case. But when you get up to circuit court, even the circuit court can deny your request. So I mean, to some extent. Anyway, so hopefully you can reapply for something if that's possible. But sounds like usually when people try to fight their case all the way, it's usually because there's nothing else available. So, but we're happy to evaluate your immigration history, and that's the thing, folks. Sometimes people might not know they're qualified for something. We also try our best to screen, or we use the word screen, but ask questions related to like last case scenario, I guess you can say. Like if someone's been a victim of a crime, abuse, or have been a victim of smuggling, but it's not always just the traditional definition of smuggling. You could be here in the US working for a company, working for a farm. It tends to be farms for some reason, but it's not just farms as an employer that don't pay 100% of what they told you they were going to pay you. So, by the way, there's something called overtime. So don't forget that. Okay. So, especially if you're not salaried. So, but I'm not an employment lawyer, but and we have contacts for that if you want to file a claim for unpaid wages. But when it comes to unpaid wages, that's also T visa, which is usually associated with trafficking. But again, that also includes labor trafficking in that sense. All right, unpaid wages. So hopefully that helps y'all for those who feel like you're stuck. In that case, let's see. By the way, Glenn, when you asked that question earlier, you're welcome to ask questions here, but sometimes it might just be better if you email us. So we do offer, it's pretty amazing. We have clients that join us live. It's great. We offer 3 different ways to contact us. Okay. TikTok's actually not on the list, but that's possible. But you might not be able to get real-time information. I have been able to do it sometimes, but 3 ways. Okay. If you're a client with TLG, Ting Law Group, number 1 is a traditional email. But here's the deal. We actually use, well, really 2 emails, but we have one with our legal team. It's just 1 email. Okay. So it's not our associate's name. It's just not my name but it's 1 email. So if someone's sick, like I'm sick right now, but I'm still working, you don't have to chase us, right? At least someone else on our team can reply to you, or at least tell you so and so is going to be back in a couple of days or whatever day that is, and we'll get back to you. But usually we don't have to say that, right? So the second way, and we try our best to respond in 24 hours. 24 to 48 hours is our policy. So if it's like 25 hours, please give us some grace. Okay. We really try our best. Number two is you can self schedule a meeting. You don't have to wait. You don't have to email us to ask if you can schedule a meeting. You can go to the bottom of our signature box and there's a link for you to schedule a meeting. And we actually, when you join as a client, we send you an email with the link as well. So we're not hiding. We're here, okay? Because I know in this day and age, like yes, we have an office in Houston, Texas, but a lot of our clients are not in Houston area. A lot of our clients in different cities, or across outside the United States. Of course, help sponsor them in here to the United States. But anyway, so just want to share that because I know some people are concerned about how do I reach my attorney? How do I reach Ting Law Group? So, and then the third way, okay, folks, we actually have a third way. In case you're like, well, shoot, they didn't reply to me. It's been more than 24 hours and their meeting times are all booked up for the next week or so. The third way, we think like a tech company. We have a support ticket. And no, it's not one of those support tickets that you're like, when are they going to get back to me? Also, in that regard, we try our best to get to you within 24 hours, sometimes the same day. But we say 24 hours really because, like, you might submit the support ticket in the evening. We don't have anyone working in the evening. So, but that's in case we drop the ball in email, for example, right? Or you believe you have an urgent situation. Now, so hopefully that gives you an idea in or the way we share, basically conduct customer service in that sense to answer your questions. And you never know when you have a question. Every client's different, depends on the case type too. But we do have resources to share with you, basically typical expectations, a common expectation of a certain case, so that it might even prevent you from having to ask those questions. Really here to save y'all time. But again, if you're a client, hey, you're welcome to join live show. Always happy to hang out. Let's see here. Okay, now I can answer some questions. Sorry about that, Maria and Jenny. We got Maria back. She's still sick and still wants to work. Maria, you can take off. Don't worry. But Maria pinned this comment from Jenny. Do you have to live with your spouse to reapply for 10-year card? I think when you mean reapply, you mean like renew the resident card. Interesting your question. No, you don't have to live with well, are you basing it on renewing based on marriage, or are you like, what do you have right now? Do you have the 2-year conditional residence status? Because that your answer on that determines my answer essentially. Like I can go in like a lot of different ways, but I don't think I've had a question phrased that way. So it is interesting. If you truly mean what you typed in, then yeah, because those applications, I believe, when someone says reapply, like renew for 10 years for a permanent card, that makes me believe that you have permanent card right now, permanent resident status. So let me drop down in the comments, see if you, okay. So you're renewing, gotcha. So you say, so this is how we have to be careful with our words, at least with attorneys. So you mentioned renewing, but you're actually, in a lawyer perspective, it's called removing removing conditions from the 2-year conditional residence status. I know, freaking lawyers, the law, we have to have such a long phrase. So you have to remove the conditions, right? So I don't know when your expiration date is, but let's say your expiration date is like December 1st, 2023 on that 2-year card. In general, you have up to 3 months before the expiration to file that next application. It's a 751 application. Yeah, Mickey on YouTube asked, well, you can only see because you're on YouTube. You can't see the ones on the other platforms. Yeah, I'm sorry. The platform I have, I use StreamYard, by the way. Not that it matters to y'all, but I don't think there's any. Not sure if there's any other platform that can like show the questions from like TikTok, for example. So sorry about that, but yeah, I try my best to repeat the question or at least paraphrase it so y'all can know what I'm answering. Okay, so Jenny, I don't know if I answered your question. I think I gave context. So knowing that you have a 2-year conditional card status, you don't have what you do now is that you have to your question originally was, do you have to stay? Well, I don't know. Are you married to that person still, or you plan to get divorced? If you're married, you plan to stay married, then you file the application 71 jointly. So both of you need to sign it. If you are filing as a waiver, meaning you're divorced or separated, you don't actually have to be divorced yet to file the 71 application. I know the instructions say submit a divorce order, but how's that possible if you're not divorced yet? So some people wait and wait too long and like, oh, I thought I had to wait until I got divorced. No, I mean that's what they prefer to have that document, but you can give that divorce order later. So you still need to file the 71 application. Do not hot tip, folks. If you have the conditional resident status, if you have conditional resident status and you're listening right now, do not make this mistake. Okay. Do not file I-90. A lot of people file that because they get it's confusing. USCIS is not I've heard they mail in a letter if you have conditional residence status, but just don't bank on it. You have to understand your situation because this is your legal status. File if you have a 2-year card, you need to file the I-751 application, whether you're divorced, separated, or married. Okay. Of course, this is something that we're happy to help you on. We're happy to help anyone. It'll be our pleasure. But of course, if you schedule a strategy session with us, we're gonna ask if you like help. But there's no obligation to hire us. We just feel better if we at least point you in the right direction to save you problems like paying the wrong fee or filing the wrong form. And you file the wrong form, you pay the wrong fee in that sense. Sorry, no, I missed the question. I'll switch back to YouTube in a second. Lobo asks, can my son sponsor me if he owes money to IRS? Married to citizen. Who's married to a citizen? Your son with 2 citizen children? Oh, yeah. I mean, if your son's a U.S. citizen, then he can sponsor you, assuming your son is also over 21, then can sponsor you. Okay. All right. But yeah, with about IRS, owing money to IRS, I mean, in general, I recommend having some kind of agreement on paper. He has an agreement with IRS to pay back money, but that issue about money owed to IRS with respect to immigration is typically a concern, at least with the when he or she wants to become a U.S. citizen. So for N400, okay. All right, let's switch over back to Muhammad asked, so Muhammad, I thought I slightly answered your question. I don't have a direct answer right now, but you want to give us a call, okay? All right, because that requires us to look into detail of the law. I just don't have that top of mind right now. Sorry to hear that about if your previous employer does that. Yeah, so schedule a meeting with us and use the code. Okay, today's Wednesday. Today's code is hump. All right, because isn't Wednesday like happy hump day or something? Today's code is hump, HUMP. All right. All right. Life is too serious, right? So we gotta chill out sometimes. So just use that code HUMP. And then I won't tell my team the code yet. I think they'll get a kick out of it. Anyway, so hopefully that helps. Juliet, how long does the I-130 take if you send an application this October? USCIS doesn't provide us time period in that sense. Well, I mean, I guess I could check the processing time schedule, but let's see here. But a lot of variations. Juliet, are you only filing the petition? Are you filing 485 as well? I mean, the thing is, ultimately, whatever it says on processing timetable now for any application, it can change like tomorrow. So, but again, anytime people ask us like proactively, like how long it takes, it's good for you to know for sure. But ultimately, if it says like 10 months right now, it doesn't matter for the future. You can't hold them to it essentially. So, and what's the basis of this application? Who's sponsoring you, or is the person a U.S. citizen, spouse, parent, child under 21? Um, you're sponsoring a spouse, parent, or child under 21, or what's the situation? Who's the petition for, or who is the sponsor? Then I can give you a better idea. All right. And also depends ultimately, unfortunately, there's not one option to select. Let me see if I can share my screen on YouTube at least. So here we go. Unfortunately, there's not one option to show like all service centers. Once I pick the form category, then I can pick the field office service center. But you wouldn't know that if you wouldn't know the location unless you filed it yet, you know? So that's the thing. And it's a little too early. But generally, like, let me just pick a random one. Let me pick the most common. U.S. citizens filing for a spouse. Let me just pick California Service Center to give you an idea. This shows 80% of cases are being completed in 14 and a half months. All right, so hopefully that gives you an idea. Let me pick Nebraska Service Center. Skip around 13 and a half. So not great. But usually if it's related to like you file 485 at the same time for adjustment of status, and it's not going to take 14 months. It's not supposed to. Okay, let's go switch over, looks like, to TikTok. All right. Monica, let me go to Monica Joanna. It's a removal case proceeding. Your person, I forgot what your prior comment was. Your removal case proceeding. Person was deported. Oh, shoot. Deported. Well, you don't have to tell me why right now, but that's something we ask in a strategy session. You know, what caused that person to be removed or deported? And you said you just found out petition was denied, like a family petition. Well, petitions are not supposed to be, typically not denied just because someone was deported. But if someone maybe petitions, usually USCIS gives some pushback on petitions if there's no proper proof of, let's say, like a birth certificate or something like that. Because USCIS is actually very careful about making sure that the birth certificate is authentic. Because they'll search the database of that country, and it turns out like if the data was wrong. It actually happens. But yeah, if someone's been order removed, 485 application will be denied unless it's like T visa, based on T visa or U visa. Sorry about that. So maybe Monica, Joanna, maybe it's good. These kind of scenarios I'm very interested in to see if we can solve your problem. Maybe guide y'all to take a look at your documents to make sure. Happy to do that. Our team's happy to do that. Mackie, F1 married to green card holder, I-130 pending for a year. Did not apply for the work permit. We can't. If you're a family preference, you can't. You're not eligible. Okay, sounds like you're an American now. I mean, if the priority F1 married to green card holder, let's see. Yeah, you can't unless your prior day is current and you can file the 485. Then you can file for work permit. Okay, but yeah, that's a little sticky situation there. Let's see here. But yeah, F1, kind of confused by your comment because F1 is for a U.S. citizen sponsoring their unmarried son or daughter. So you need to check in with us one-on-one to ask about like conversion, because if you're married now, I believe it's auto-converted to F3. So you might want to check the visa bulletin on that. All right. That could be a concern for you. Miss Baudet, if married under 2 years, will you get the 2-year card? Yes. So, and it's ultimately determined at the time of like the interview, like the final adjudication. So if you're still under 2 years of that marriage, then you'll get the 2-year conditional card. But the thing is, like, folks, a lot of people, of course, want to get the green card sooner than later. But if you're already at like 1 year or one and a yeah, like 1 year and 3 months, you know, at that point you might as well file because it does take at least average 5 months to process. So that by the time you get to interview, you can try to time it right so that you can get the 10-year card, folks. Okay. So then you can save some money. We when it gets that timing, it's in our notes like that, like then we'll mention it. But if someone's like just got married last week, most people don't want to wait that long, right? They want to get the green card sooner. So um, most attorneys won't provide that advice, but we're all about trying to save some time for y'all, regardless of the situation. All right, husband and I are separate but not divorced. What can you use for evidence when you remove conditions? It could be similar, similar. Excuse me. Similar evidence as what you may have submitted for your first case. Essentially, you want to demonstrate to USCIS that you were married legitimately, genuinely. We call it bona fide. So, for example, if you still have joint bank account up until that time you got separated, of course, then you want to show copies of that and any other expenses, bills, photos, trips, itinerary, things like that. It's all very similar as if you filed the first case. Okay, so let's see here. All right, great. I just see we got a positive 5-star review. Pretty cool to see it live. Got a 5-star review and said that our one of our CARES team members, Jessica, was on point with following through with the consultation, helping guide folks like yourselves. If you interested in a consultation or a strategy session for 15 minutes at no cost to you, our CARES team tries our best to guide you, to provide expectations on what it will look like, what to expect during a consultation, because we want to be able to answer your questions. So don't be shy. There are very few people that are not willing to share what the question is. I'm honestly not sure why, because ultimately we only have 15 minutes. In our opinion, I think it's the right amount of time. But of course, if you want more time, like 30 minutes, we charge for that. But ultimately, if you want to be qualified for 15 minutes, you've got to share at least some of the legal questions you're wondering, because ultimately when our attorneys or myself reviews those questions, then we're better prepared, right? We're better prepared. But also, like, if it's a question that's like, okay, you don't actually need our help, we just give you some pointers, and the attorneys will tell our CARES team members what to say and how to explain it, and they'll try their best to explain it to y'all. But ultimately, like, of course, if that's just still not enough, then um, anyway, the ultimately is just trying to save you some time. Okay, so please don't be shy. Share your legal questions to our CARES team members, but please know our CARES team specialists are not lawyers, so don't expect an answer from them. Okay, because then you're going to be disappointed. And that's the point of the strategy session, is so that the attorney, our premier associates, or myself can answer your questions, because we're licensed attorneys. So please understand the difference. Some people get a little frustrated. So I'm just trying to help prevent y'all from getting frustrated. Um, all right. So what's the deal here? What's another question I can answer? So I'm going to answer one more question. Okay. One more question for now, because I know I need to get to a team meeting. There we go. Dexter is a registered medical assistant, or you're a registered medical assistant. Thank you for all you do. Is any sponsorship for that? In general, so the first thing I think about for you is H-1B. If your degree matches your profession, of course, or EB. But for EB, for residency, you can stay here while in the United States and do that as long as you have a non-immigrant visa, like H-1B, for example. Otherwise, you have to be outside the United States, okay, while that happens. But yeah, EB, employment-based preference categories, is pretty open in that sense. Like, it's for people who have degrees, and the job required is based on the degree. And then I know, like, something in business degree is pretty broad, so it's good. It's good for that reason. And then professionals, unskilled workers, and unskilled workers, in a sense that the way we try to explain is that that position does not require some kind of license or certification. And then the other category, subcategory is called skilled workers. Okay. So hopefully that gives you a better idea. So pretty much it is wide open, but it does take, depending what country you're from. But if you're not from China or India, you're not a national of those two countries, then generally it's a 2-year process for EB. Okay. There's a lot of steps involved, but average 2 years. Still takes a long time. Yeah. Anu on YouTube. Thanks for commenting. Registered. I think you're in the medical field too, if I recall. Registered MA sounds like the one that takes blood pressure. So only EB3. That's what I was thinking, EB3 as well. Dexter, you ask also, do we handle 485 for 526 investment? You mean for the EB5? We do help with that, but that's honestly a concern for me. Like, what happened to your prior lawyer for that? If you're asking for someone else, but we're happy to take a look at it. Because we don't like to step on other attorneys' toes. I appreciate your question, but if it's hire us because they had a bad lawyer experience, unfortunately. So, I mean, that makes me more comfortable to take on your case in that sense, or whoever that person is. But yeah, in general, we do help with anything related to 485 or adjustment status. Okay. Happy to help. Okay. Anu, you say your ex-boyfriend had an urgent care, so that's how you know. Okay. Gotcha. By the way, folks, hope y'all are doing okay. You're well health-wise, because I'm sick. A couple of our team members are sick. I think like 3 right now. And yeah, it's getting kind of crazy. It's October, so I don't know. It's flu season technically. Anyways, get your flu shots. I'm not a doctor. Do what you will, but that's my recommendation as a non-doctor. Let's see. Okay, last question. Alikma. Sorry, I mispronounced your name. Thank you, Fancy Pants. Good name. You got the combo card, 2 years. It's yours. The AP, it's yours. Yes, it is yours. The AP is valid for 2 years. Also, yeah, when it's a combo card, that means 1 card for work permit and advanced parole. So they're not. I don't believe they have 2 different expiration dates, so it should just be 1. All right. So yeah, 2 years. Well, that's interesting. So maybe that's just interesting. How it happened for the new, because they just extended for 5 years in general. So I wonder if you'll get AP for future people. I wonder if people will get AP for 5 years also. I'll have to take a look into that. All right, folks. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I have to jump off. Can't go an hour and a half today. But if you're new to our channel, welcome. If you're on TikTok, follow up there. I think it's up there. And then if you're on YouTube and Facebook, you can subscribe down below. Click the bell for future notifications. I'll try not to bug y'all too much. I mean, the algorithm will do it, but we go live. We try to go live Monday through Friday. Anyway, if you appreciate the way I share information, answer questions, I had to say this because my state bar, this is legal information. This is not legal advice. If you want legal advice, you need to contact an immigration lawyer one-on-one, and we're happy to talk with you. Okay. Thank you so much. I think that's it. All right. Secret code today is hump, because it's Wednesday and it's Happy Hump Day. So send that code in when you fill out the form, or call in. Okay. My team will be surprised. Thanks for the roses. Appreciate it. Miss Bode, thank you so much. And y'all have a wonderful day. See y'all tomorrow.